our state. Every school district is taxing us to death right now. There's no oversight. And the only way we can do this, and I thought this plan may bring us something that we could attack this issue with and stop this insanity. I'm also have a thing in the back, it's to stop our governor from taxing us over the same way. No oversight. We need to have oversight. So TJ, I met him on the phone, I was excited, so I invited him up immediately, and he agreed to come. So we're going to turn it over to TJ. He's working with Keystone Stop Ending Property Taxes in Pennsylvania.
So my name's TJ. By trade, I'm a political consultant. I run American Political Consulting. I've worked on the McCormick campaign. I've worked on Oz's campaign. Don't hold that against me. Sometimes you just take money. I'm actually a registered libertarian, so I think all sides are corrupt. I'd like to get it to a point where we don't pay any taxes, but I'll settle for a consumer-based tax as opposed to you taxing me just because I own a home, but the guy that buys a Lamborghini can park his home assets in an LLC and park his money overseas and never pay taxes on it. I think the middle class is being taxed to death in this Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. There is no, well, middle class that doesn't exist anymore. It's now you're lower middle class or you're rich. There was a time where you could go work in a factory, a steel mill, a coal mine. You could be a firefighter and survive on that wage, and survive comfortably. You take your kids to Disney if you so wanted to. I prefer Universal.
Move aside of a doctor.
You could go to a doctor and not pay $100 copay. Those days are gone. I have 3 family members that work for the state in the Department of Corrections. One just retired, my mother. My mother started 20 years ago. She had a $0 copay. They're the second largest union in actually they are the largest union in the Commonwealth. They actually surpassed the Pennsylvania State Police. Her copay now is $40 for a specialist and a $3,500 deductible. She had 0 and 0 when she started in corrections. So they're taxing us everywhere, right? They're taxing us on our home, they're taxing us on our check, they're taxing us at the store, they're just taxing us. Our founding fathers went to war over a 2.5% T-tax. We're taxed at 28% of our pay right now in Pennsylvania, roughly. Not counting your property and school taxes. That's just your paycheck taxes between the federal and state government. I'm pretty sure George Washington would have ran out of gunpowder by now. So, and it's across different, it's across all economic divides. Like it's not just a Philadelphia thing, a Bucks thing, a Montgomery thing, a Lehigh thing, Southeast PA, Southwest PA, all over the state. I handle campaigns. I'm running 3 campaigns in Southwest PA right now, where the common trend is get out the incumbent because they voted for Shapiro's budget. And in Southwest PA, they're tired of funding SEPTA. The big line item that Southwest PA is big on is, well, if SEPTA wants to buy Chinese trains and they catch on fire, how's that my problem? I run a farm, I don't want to tax my farm to death. I don't have trains. We have steel coke trains, that's what we have. They run the coke to the steel mills and that's all we need. And they have Amtrak. So, one of the things that I decided with this was a group of us that are nonpartisan in nature. So the way the board, we expect the board to work, we do have a couple current board members already, is we want to have 3 libertarians, 3 Republicans, 3 Democrats if they're willing, 3 Constitution Party members, and 3 Green Party members. Those are the major parties within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We already have 2 Constitution Party members that are willing. We have the person in charge of recruiting for Northeastern United States, which was a libertarian. He ran for vice president, Mike Tremont, who's willing to get on board if a certain group of Republicans get on board, basically. The chair of it is the Southeast Region Rep for the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania. His name is Pete Schwartz. He was elected township supervisor in Berks County. He's currently the auditor for Berks, for the small town he's in Berks. I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, but it's on his profile. About the plan. So the plan is pretty simple, right? Our plan is to advocate to abolish property tax that for homeowners, senior citizens, pretty much everybody, but especially the burden on senior citizens and the disabled, right, population. Senior citizens, they built their home, some of these people bought their home for $3,000, and now that home value, yes, it's gone up, it's probably worth about $400,000, but so did their tax bill, but their income hasn't gone up. They're on Social Security. Social Security goes up, what, a couple hundred a year, if you're lucky, but the taxes go up a couple thousand a year. So it's proportionally not advantageous. And where are these old people going? Like, they're not able to just go. They either have to move in with their kids because they can't just go buy another house because the new house is $1 million, or they got to go into assisted living facilities, or leave the state and leave their grandkids behind. And in fairness, some of their grandkids are just leaving the state because their parents don't want to pay the taxes here. They can go to Tennessee and pay 0 tax. They can go to Texas. They can go to Florida, and they'll pay a lot less. So our state is falling behind, and that's why we have a population decline. We want, currently, the reason why it's controversial, it's based off property value. It's not based off your income. It is if you were able to buy a house, you got into a good market, and your market improved, now we're just going to tax the heck out of you for being a smart investor, right? Like I said, disproportionately affects, seniors on a fixed income, working class families, and it's viewed as regressive. Our goal is to eliminate school property taxes, replace it with a fair funding system, and protect home ownership rights and promote long-term financial stability. The way we do that is we shift the burden from property to an income sales-based model. The way you do that is similar to what Rand Paul has discussed on a federal level.
Thank you so much.
Thomas Massey has discussed it on a federal level. One of the cool things is I am a powerhouse couple. My wife is the founder of the Libertarian Party Medical Freedom Caucus. So she gets to have monthly conversations with congressmen like Thomas Massey and, share bourbon with him in his office. But, and we have to do it in a way, it's going to have to pass the State House. The State House is 51 Democrats right now. You're never going to get it past the State House if you're not willing to still fund the schools, the public school system. That's the one thing conservatives, we know we don't want to. We know the public school system's completely corrupt and morally bankrupt. But we have to take one battle at a time, right? So we can fund their schools, but fund them in a reasonably responsible, conservative way. There's no reason why the head administrator for the Philadelphia School District makes more than the governor. Allentown, too, I believe, makes more than the governor as well. Allentown and Philadelphia, those two districts by themselves, actually pay more in administrative salaries than they do to teacher salaries. And there's less administrators. Why is that money not being gone to the teachers? Why do you need 4 principals for a high school? When I went through school, and I went through the New York City public school system, in a very bad neighborhood. I grew up with a single mother, busted her hump, trying to give me a good life, and I went to a school that had metal detectors and a police processing station in a broom closet where they could literally charge you for fighting right there at school. And we still only had 1 principal in high school. Why do you need 1 for each grade? You don't. What you probably need is 2 guidance counselors per grade to help the kids get ready for college, especially in 11th and 12th grade, but you don't even have that in most of these schools. I know Allen High School can barely hire a guidance counselor for the seniors.
Right.
They've been trying to hire one for 3 years. And the job's posted every year for guidance counselors on their website. So the way we do it is we do it in increments. This is a piece to the left side, but it also shows a conservative metric on how we get there. So year 1, we would freeze all property tax increases. Completely freeze it, you can't do an increase. Your current rates are your current rates, have a nice day. In year 2, we'd reduce it by 25%, then another 25 to 50, another 25 to 75% overall, and then year 5, it would be completely eliminated. And then people, you know, especially on the more left side, they're like, well, how do you fund the government? Who's going to build the roads, right? Well, you go to a sales tax. That's how you do it. Because that rich guy who buys that $1 million Lamborghini is still going to have to pay that sales tax on that Lamborghini. Equally, the middle class guy who goes and buys a steak is going to have to pay that. And the poor person who buys a Gatorade is going to have to pay that too, right? Now, when I present this to people on the more left side, they argue, well, it's proportionally going to hurt the poor because the poor can't afford the extra 15 cents on the dollar or whatever. In the first 5 years, you're going to have to pay 15 cents on the dollar. This should actually balance down to 10.5 after year 6. It's just to get the nest egg up to where it needs to be in order to fund the state and cut state fundings over that 5 years to get where you can actually survive on 10.5. It's just right now we have a lot of inflated budgets. So I would like it personally to be 0. 10.5 is a heck of a lot better than what we're paying in property tax. So it fully replaces school funding. No district will lose funding. How we do that is 2%, and neither will the municipalities lose property tax funding. 2% of every sales tax share. The problem that we've done in the past is conservatives have tried to stop the property tax through the casino tax. They go, oh, we're going to build this casino, you're never going to have to pay property taxes. Bullshit. Because you don't allocate the funds in the law. So what happens is it goes into Harrisburg and disappears into the general fund. If you don't write the law where it allocates where the funds go, the state assembly can reappropriate those funds and the governor can too. That's what happened with the medical marijuana money. The medical marijuana money literally goes to Harrisburg and you have no oversight after that where it goes. It's gone. I see it go to the general fund and that's all you know. And that's almost $14 billion in income that we have no clue where it goes. Right? So this money in the law that we're going to present, we already have 3 people running for Senate. They'll propose it. We have 2 state reps that are currently incumbents running that will propose it. But they want it that if we're going to do it, we have to allocate where that money's going. I'm working on a 3rd state rep. I have a meeting with him next week. Now, when they say that, hey, you're not going to be able to, it's going to affect the poor. Well, here's a solution for that. It's a Keystone tax relief card. Think of it like a store card. You swipe it, you get a discount at the store. If you're poor and you're on food stamps or whatever, you swipe this card before you pay and it lowers the tax rate down. It's all computer programming. All these registers run off of technology now. I'm sure there's maybe 1 or 100 maybe mom and pop shops throughout the state that might need to upgrade technology. But you can give them grants for that. And yes, there's a taxpayer money still, but helping 100 shops get to the modern technology is a lot easier and more affordable than having all these other businesses like Walmart tax the hell out of us, right? So the way we envision it is households earning under $100,000 a year, seniors 65 and older on a fixed income. We wanted to put fixed income in there because there are seniors that are 65 and older that are billionaires in Pennsylvania. The 3rd richest person in Pennsylvania is a 67-year-old billionaire worth about $20 billion. So he doesn't need the tax break card. So this card would just be used at checkout, no waiting, no paperwork. You know, if you qualify for food stamps, you go through this, we'd use the existing systems in place. You go to the welfare office, they'd apply, say, hey, this is my income, I make under 100 grand, they'd issue them the card. We're not creating more government. We're going to use the government that's in place to oversight this. The other thing, for conservatives that are tired of the Department of Education, we're going to force the Department of Education in this bill, this is where it gets hairy with the Democrats, to give control over curriculum to the local school boards.
Well, we don't even have to abide by the Department of Education.
Yeah, you don't have to.
They would need to be abolished. They're unconstitutional.
I mean, ideally, our position is we abolish it. Do I think in negotiations we'd have to give it to local control to get it past the Democrats? I'm being realistic.
We don't need that. The school board.
Excuse me, can we let him finish?
Okay,
Yeah,
go
And then we'll
ahead.
have questions and answers, okay?
Ideally, yes, you're right, it's unconstitutional, we shouldn't need that. But in order to get the bill passed, you might have to negotiate with the opposing side. I would like it abolished. The Department of Education, I'm a libertarian, on a national level, we want it abolished. The Department of Education is an absolute failure and a train wreck. Since we've instituted it under Jimmy Carter, all of our test scores have gone completely to shit. And that's the reason why, you know, an owner's manual for your car used to tell you how to change the engine oil. Now it tells you don't drink the engine oil. Like, I mean...
They don't even put an oil stick there now.
Yeah, they don't even put an oil stick there now. Like, you know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So, the other way we're going to do it is we're going to cap excessive reserves. Everyone hears about the rainy day fund that Shapiro brings up every time he wants to increase spending. Has everyone heard that? It's a $20 billion rainy day fund. Why do we need a $20 billion rainy day fund? That means you're taxing us too much that you have a $20 billion rainy day fund. So that money should come back to we the people. What? Suspend the gas tax. You have $20 billion in extra funds, use that to fund the gas tax and fix the roads. But you can't do that because you have overinflation with PennDOT and corruption within PennDOT, where people get paid because they're someone's cousin to sit on the side of a road for 4 hours, get paid for 8, and make $149,000 a year. You can't do it you could do it because of the turnpike. The turnpike, which was only supposed to be a toll for 20 years to fund it, is the most expensive stretch of road in the world. It's not just the country, not just the state, the world. And it's shit. It's got potholes all over the place. There's a million accidents left and right. And now the state police are going to impound you if you don't pay your toll. They're going to have your car towed and pull you over for unpaid tolls. The other way we do it is we reduce administrative overhead by 10%. So what this calls for is a full audit of the entire Pennsylvania government for waste and wasteful and redundant positions. So, including school districts. So a school district that has 4 superintendents that handle the same job in essence, they're going to be forced to reduce down to 1. Otherwise, we're just going to cut your funding. It's real simple. If you want our money, you're going to do what we tell you to do. And if you don't, well, have fun explaining that to your taxpayers on why you needed 3 guys to make 100, or 3 guys or women to make $100,000 to $200,000 a year that don't even teach a child anything. Literally do nothing but push paperwork. We also want a full transparency on spending. Has anyone ever tried to look up the food budget and housing budget for your elected official? It is the most convoluted, idiotic system of looking up how they spend their money. They purposely make it difficult. It's all on the PA.gov site. Like, I mean, you can look it up, but they do it in a way where it's so hard to understand where they're spending their money. So, I like them. There's a certain state rep who's run for lieutenant governor and governor every time a position opens up. Russ Diamond. And I like to hold our own accountable too. When Russ ran for lieutenant governor, he charged a $75,000 steak dinner on his expense account for a food meal for his vouchers.
Is that how he labeled it, food meals, that's it?
It was team building and training for his staff.
Wow.
I want to be on that staff.
Yeah,
$75,000. Like, so I looked up how much staff he has in his office. So he has 8 staff members in his Harrisburg office. He has 3 in his one local office and 3 in the other. So he has a total of 14 people, including himself and his chief of staff, is say 16. 16 people going to dinner for training at $75,000.
Wow.
That's a lot of money. I want that dinner. That is some next level surf and turf. You know, so we'll have an audit on that. We don't want any blank checks given to Harrisburg, so that's why we have to have that in the law. We want spending growth tied to inflation. So if you're gonna increase your spending, and you can't, because you're gonna say inflation, well then lower inflation. You can lower inflation. Stop printing money. I mean, the problem is we teach, I'll get on my libertarian rant real quick. I believe in Austrian economics. The common trend for Austrian economics is the value of an item is what the consumer is willing to pay, not what you think it's worth. It's what you think it's worth compared to what the consumer is actually willing to pay. So, you know, like, I can build you a useless umbrella that lets rain through. It's a mesh umbrella. No one's gonna want to buy that, but I think it's worth $20. So the real market is $0 because no one wants it, right? But if I build a generator that runs on solar power and it costs $18 to make, and you're willing to pay $150, well, that's the market. Market's $150.
It's called an efficient market, and
Yes.
it's how the stock market works.
Correct. So, but when we go to these colleges now, like I'll go to these colleges, like we have a YAL group at Temple, and there's actually a libertarian group at Del Val. And they have pretty good economic programs. Del Val is the only college in this half of the state, not from north to south, that actually teaches Ludwig and Mises as part of their economics course. No one else does. Not Penn State, not Temple, not Villanova, not Penn, not Lehigh Valley, Lehigh University. None of them teach it. Why? Because it's common sense and they're conservatives. They teach the liberal market. That, you know, well, you can take on debt, you can print money, as long as you can pay your debts with the gross domestic product you produce, and as long as your GDP goes up, you're still successful. Well, my wallet says otherwise, right? Inflation says otherwise. I remember when Bazooka Joe used to be able to get it for a nickel at the convenience store in Brooklyn. Now it's 25 cents a pop.
See, that's how young he is, Bill. We used to get it for a penny. We used to get it for a penny, and it was huge.
So I used to ride I grew up in Brooklyn, and there's a Cyclone roller coaster. It's like famous. It's been around for like 150 years. I took my kids there a few years back. Probably like right before COVID. When I used to ride, so my grandpa rode it, it was literally a penny a ride. And then when he was like 18, it was a nickel. The first time I went on it, it was 50 cents a ride. And by the time I was like 18, I think it was like $1. It is $20 a ride now. Like, it is no joke. Disney bought the property after Hurricane Sandy, and they jacked everything up.
Wait, that's Coney?
Coney Island?
Yeah,
they destroyed it.
that's famous. Yeah.
So,
$20.
the way you can help is we need 3 Republicans, 3 Libertarians, 3 Party Constitution Democrats to join the board. Help advocate for property tax reform. Assist with outreach to communities, be part of the solution-driven effort. A lot of it is calling your state reps. We don't need money. We just need people willing to call people. If you put, I did a class with the it's Federation of Conservative Principals or something. They teach how to run a campaign. The number one way, there's 3 ways you can get your elected official to listen. Number 1 is give them money. Right? It's the easiest way. It's, here's money, do what I tell you to do. I wrote you a check or I'm going to slap you with my wallet. The problem with that is as soon as your money runs out or they're elected, they stop caring about it. That's it. They're already elected, especially if they're not running for another term, they just don't care. The other way is appeal to their moral fortitude, which not a lot of congressmen, state reps, and state senators have, right? Like, I mean, they're morally bankrupt for a reason. That's how they get elected. The third and most effective way for long term for them to listen to you is to apply pain.
Apply what?
Pain. Hurt them.
Oh, pain.
Not physically, we're not talking about, you know, breaking the kneecaps, but in the press. Go to the report. So like on the website we have a sample of the bill, because a lot of people are going to say, well, how do you fund the schools then still? Well, what's going to happen is we want to say, Mastriano had a plan where, I didn't put it up there yet, I have to put it up today. I do the website, so. Mastriano said every school in Pennsylvania needed 10,500 when he ran for governor, which I think is actually a little low. I've seen what schools at 10,500 run at, because I do a lot of work in Western PA. Uniontown area school district is about $10,450, and they can barely afford a shop class. Whereas comparison, Bucks County schools are like $25,000 a kid. Also, I don't think Shapiro's $30,000 a kid budget is actually good either. That's ridiculously high. So we did the math, and we had a bunch of economists. I don't know if you guys know Mike Tremont. He was a Libertarian vice presidential candidate. He was a White House economist under the first Bush. We worked together and we figured out $17,200 is about what you actually need per student to fund a public school correctly with a shop class, economics, teach civics. Because there's certain things we want put in these schools as part of this audit, right? We want at a 10th grade level that maybe these kids that aren't going to go to college, we all know them, there's kids that exist that are just not going to go to college. They like electricity, they like plumbing, and there's jobs for that, and those jobs make a lot of money. Well, why can't these kids take a union apprenticeship in 10th grade? Why do they have to go to school and not be working towards their degree, making money? We should have, and you're not just union, I mean, like, you can have them go to an on-site apprenticeship with any plumbing company and learn how to be a plumber.
An internship.
Yeah, an internship, and maybe a paid internship. Maybe in 11th grade it becomes a paid one. And because when you do that, so I have a buddy who's a big time guy at IBEW. So if you had a kid that started an apprenticeship in 10th grade, you'd have to change some laws. We'd have to change some insurance laws and requirements for work in Pennsylvania. But if you had someone that became IBEW apprentice in 10th grade, by the time they're in 12th grade, they're a level 2 apprentice making $65,000 a year at 19 years old, 18 years old. By their next year out of school, they're making almost $100,000 with overtime, and the overtime is there consistently.
It's not taxed anymore.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
with that being said, I grew up in New Jersey, and I went to a vocational school. So they did that. Our 11th, 12th grade year, we had our classes in the morning, and by 11, 12, I was out working in a shop the rest of the day.
And that's how it should be. But it's not that way across Pennsylvania. I mean, you have a couple districts that do it. Central Bucks, our school district, does it at Middle Bucks Institute of Technology. But a lot of them don't, because they can't afford it, whatever.
Because now, for me, this was done, like, I had the choice to go to the traditional high school or the vocational instead.
Yeah.
So I was lucky able to go to the vocational, get that education with the high school diploma at the same time.
Listen, you know, finance jobs are only going to be finite, especially with AI. But you know what? When your toilet overflows, you ain't going to be able to have AI fix your toilet. When your power goes out, AI ain't fixing the power line. You know, so...
The infrastructure is there. So we have the vocational trade infrastructure.
Correct.
The problem goes back to what you said about guidance counselors.
Correct.
They get paid $100,000 a year. I want that job, because they do absolutely nothing. They don't talk to Jimmy's dad or mom or parents. They don't bring them in. They don't say, hey, what do you want to do for it? Like, you're in 10th grade, you should know this. Have an idea what you want to do when you get out.
Yeah.
And they don't promote the trades.
No, they don't. They everything's about college, college, college. They only talk to the top 10 kids that are going to get their scholarship on their tight caseload, top 50 kids, and that's who they want to deal with because that measures success.
Yeah.
Right? And that philosophy needs to change. So with this audit, that's one of the things that we want to change. Is we're going to force these districts through this audit to start promoting the trades. There's actually another bill that we're supporting that we're going to put on there soon. That is it's a healthcare bill that Harry Cochran, who's running for state senate, put up there. Our education plan, which goes into that $17,200. Basically, it forces the districts, if they want to keep their money, to be competitive with the private schools. His whole plan is to eventually defund all the public schools and just make them all private and give people money to send their kid to private school and vocational school. Because he goes, I could send my kids to private school for $10,000 and they get a better education than what I'm paying in taxes for $23,000. Why am I going to pay that much in taxes when I can get my kid a better education for half the price and I can send him to private school? And then he goes, I'm a devout Christian. I can send him to a Christian private school, and I don't have to worry about all the woke crap in school then. And that's another thing that's killing the schools too. It is the woke agenda in the schools. I mean, they're so worried about kitty litter boxes in the bathroom, but they're not worried about if Johnny knows how to read and write.
Right.
Like, you know, my cousin is a very far leftist. She is, like, I mean, She's now 3 years out of high school, but she's still there. She went to Upper Perk, right? Like in smack dab in the middle of COVID and the whole woke thing. So Upper Perk was one of the schools that put the kitty litter boxes actually in the girls' bathrooms. They also allowed girls to wear tails. Not to be too derogatory, but they were adult toy tails and went in a certain orifice to stay in.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
No, it's
Under 18 years old. So my cousin, who's liberal, went into the principal's office and said, I just have a bone to pick. Listen, I'm as progressive as the next girl. But I can't wear a tank top or a mini skirt, and we have no AC in the school when it's too hot, because I might entice someone to rape me. But these girls can wear butt plugs, and they're under 18, it shouldn't even be legal for them to buy it. So, and why do we have kitty litter boxes only in the girls' room? If people are identifying as cats, you're telling me there's no male cats? Well, and the principal flat out said we thought if we put it in the male's bathroom, they'd actually use it. Can you imagine being the janitor having to clean up some human feces in a kitty litter box? I quit. You couldn't pay me enough to do it, I'd be out. But they're so focused on that. And then, you know, when you look at our graduation class of 700 students, only 50 of them had free rides to college. And I'm not even talking Division I colleges. I'm talking like, you know, M-Tri-C.
Well, that's because what you're saying is Bush passing the No Child. I mean, every like.
Oh, they can
No
ask
child
questions,
left
yeah.
behind.
Can we finish? So I can get to Q&A?
Yeah, we can do Q&A.
All right. We can have this discussion back and forth. You don't want me to get involved. Okay? I know more about Upper Perk than you think.
I'm sure you do. My mom lives there. It's so bad.
Okay,
So,
I got a question.
yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to point out that when you talked about all the different taxes that we pay, one thing that's, I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but all of a sudden, when I use a credit card, the guy says, I'm going to have to add 3% to this so you can pay for the credit card fee. Okay, I had 3 different vendors start that on me within the last 3 weeks. So I don't know if that's been a universal experience. Nobody ever did that before. Now they're doing it. Okay.
My husband was a credit card processor. They were sneaking it in 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And they weren't telling people they were doing it.
Oh.
So they're at least telling you now.
Oh.
But they were sneaking them 10 years ago.
Well, I asked for a $100 gift certificate, and the lady says, you owe me $103. That is not sneaking anything in. That is not really justifiable, in my opinion. Anyway, so then the other thing was, when you were talking about all the different taxes, how much Pennsylvanians are taxed and such, I was under the understanding that out of 50 states in the United States, although there's 7 or 8 that have 0 income tax, every state has to get their money somewhere.
Yeah.
So if you're not paying it in income tax, you're paying it in something else, a property tax transfer, any of a number of different taxes. So, I don't know if moving to another state, you move to Kentucky, oh, there's no taxes. I'm not sure that that's solving anything, unless you disagree.
So when we were talking to we did a survey and we asked people who actually left the state why. The average American's okay with paying for a fee of service. So if I buy a new house in Texas and it costs me double the amount for my deed than it does in Pennsylvania, I'm okay with that because I chose to buy a house. I didn't choose for you to mark up 56 cents on the dollar on the gallon for gas. You chose that. I don't see where that money goes, but I can tangibly see that my deed transfer went to paving my roads and funding my government or technology advances in Texas, right?
Okay.
Truck drivers were surveyed about 10 years ago on the worst roads in the country. Pennsylvania ranked #1. That means truck drivers rather drive on Alaskan ice roads than our pothole roads. Texas is actually near the top, and they have a 0% income tax. So the vast consumer is okay with paying a fee for stuff they use. So like if I'm gonna go, I don't have to buy soda. I can get water, I can collect rainwater. I actually don't have to buy meat from the market. I can go to the Amish guy and pay him cash. shout him out. I mean, you can go to, what's the guy's name? The farmer. I'll get his info for you. But Shapiro raided his farm at 5:30 in the morning and put him in handcuffs because he saw
Amos Miller.
Amos Miller. So, shout out to Amos Miller. You can go buy meat from Mr. Miller and he'll take cash and not charge you any tax.
Yeah.
You can also get a farm and grow your own meat.
Yeah, yeah. And then the other issue was as far as home ownership. Mr. Gilbert really impressed me when he brought up the subject 2 weeks ago about the fact that we all know that the people today can't afford to buy the homes. Anybody that's over the age of 70 or 60 or 70 has got a house with huge sales value, which evidently people can't afford to buy. And that is what the school districts are basing their income from, is the home ownership. And if the kids can't buy the homes, where are they going to get their money from?
Correct. And that's how you get them to the bargaining table. You go, listen, you can wait for for grandma and grandpa to die, or mom and dad to die, and then we have a death tax in Pennsylvania.
Inheritance tax.
You know, which I am a huge proponent of getting rid of. That is, you don't charge dead people, okay?
And then there's the inheritance tax.
Yeah.
Inheritance.
Yeah, that's the death tax, the state inheritance tax.
Yeah, we're going through that right now.
So, you know, if you could bring them to the bargaining table with those. A lot of Democrats are actually against the state inheritance tax. That's one of the few things we agree on. We don't agree on much, but we agree on that.
Okay, so you say consumer tax, you mean, because I've always been real hot behind this fair tax, same thing?
Basically, yeah. It's Massey's federal plan on a state level.
Okay. Yeah, because I've always heard it referred to as a fair tax.
Yes.
Same basic idea. The only tweak I would make, and this is just a comment, and you can comment if you want to, is instead of using the cards for the lower income, is to just not tax at all fruits, vegetables, anything that's like essential. Just
yeah, I mean that's the other solution. And right now we already don't tax those things.
Right.
We don't tax fruits, vegetables,
Right.
meat. We tax soda.
Like true necessities don't.
Yeah, I mean that would be
tax at
the
all.
other
Solid.
solution, and that's why we need more people on the board to give those ideas.
Right. And then one last, just for a comment, is I've always heard this: if tax withholdings did not happen and people had to like write a check at the end of the year, there would be a tax revolt tomorrow.
Yeah.
People just don't understand what they're paying. They
No.
just don't know.
No, and that's what I mean. Like, you don't realize when you do your. So, I always laugh that the IRS actually knows what you're supposed to pay. They just don't tell you that so they can take you for fees later.
Yep.
But if you really went and studied tax law and understood what you're filling out when you do your 1040 EZ or your standard deductibles, and if you do an itemized, God help you if you don't have an accountant. Like we do itemized, so we have an accountant, and they will, if you actually understood what you're paying in taxes per year compared to what you're getting back, I mean, it's horrible. Even with Social Security, like, this is separate from Keystone Stops, but I'm completely against Social Security. And the reason why, I'm for it for the people that already qualified because you're already paid into the Ponzi scheme and you shouldn't lose your benefits. But if you invested the same amount of money that you put into Social Security in like a hedge fund or a 401k, you would have 3 times the amount of income that you have than what you have from Social Security. Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. You paid in a crap ton of money and they're giving you a fraction of a percent back, and they keep adding the years till you can get it, hoping you'll die before you get it. So, and that's what they do. Like, it's wrong. I don't agree with taking it away from people that already have it because they already paid into it. But we need to fix that system because by the time I qualify, I'm not going to get it.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say and ask too, is because now, like, I follow a big one of it. Talking on the Social Security side, if you look into it, there's Title 4D, 4E, which is back into the child custody section, that has nothing to do with Social Security, but yet the federal government takes and pays the states from the Social Security fund. So Title 4D, 4E.
They do. They also fund the VA healthcare system through it. They take money from Social Security and put it into the VA healthcare system, which actually I'm okay with. helping our veterans, I'm down with that. But what I'm not down with is robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest issue I see all the time, like elections, you see it, the biggest topic, Social Security's running out of money, running out of money.
Maybe if the Army didn't pay $10,000 a nail when you go to Home Depot for 47 cents, 17 cents.
But it's like the same issue, Title 4D4E last year, the federal government gave out $80 billion to the state.
Oh yeah. I mean, I know a lot of, if anyone's a vet here, I know a lot of you probably go to Alabama, but has anyone ever been to the Philadelphia VA? So the Philadelphia VA had someone kill themselves there. They jumped off the roof about 15 years ago now, maybe 10, 12.
We were together, so it's within the last.
It was within the last 13 years because we were together. So they hired a replacement head of that VA healthcare system from DC to replace the person because there was a lot of things wrong. The Philly VA is trash. Go to Coatesville or Allentown. But we paid as taxpayers $10,000 for her to move her toilet from DC to Philadelphia. I want that toilet. That toilet's got to talk to you, warm your butt, clean you, wipe you for you, you know, play music, you know, some Barry White while you're in there, like something. Because who pays? I wouldn't pay $10,000 for a toilet from Home Depot.
From nowhere.
Like you could buy a toilet for $200. You go to reusing and get one for $25, $50.
It's the layers.
Yeah.
So what happens with the layers is that you can inflate and incorporate, and no one really knows what the 10,000 paid for.
Correct.
Because literally the only allotment that went to that 10,000 was a portion of it.
Correct.
Right? The rest got lost somewhere in the shuffle.
The rest went into her pocket.
Yeah, and the problem with Social Security is, because you all remember when Bush brought it up about privatizing it. So the biggest issue reminds me of a quote that came across my phone today, whereas it was a billionaire, and he said, you know, most people would rather work 40 years for an employer than build their own business over a 3-year period.
Correct.
It's just the way people are, all right? And he's right. That's
He is.
why
He's
we all have
100%
jobs.
correct.
And you know, we're happy we have our jobs, but the thing being is that it's a mentality. So if we, you have to think of the average citizen. So coming out of the banking world, when I meet with the client, it's almost like, well, if that were the case and they had the ability to say, I'm going to opt to put it here or there, but I'm going to also have the option to make that decision as opposed to my mommy and daddy doing it for me, such as the government, right?
Correct.
Then chances are, out of 10 people, 8 would not have anything to retire on.
Yes.
2 people would, because they'd be diligent around it. But without being forced, because all Social Security is a forced, non-interest bearing bank savings account.
Yeah.
Right? It's worse than any bank rates that you're ever going to get. But the problem is us. We're our own worst enemy.
Yeah, and I think the other problem is I support, there's a bunch of states right now going to remove financing from the federal government, from the Senate and the House because they're incompetent.
Yep. They are.
They are. There needs to be, and I hate to be the guy that says, like the libertarian me hates saying we need more laws, but there needs to be a law that says, hey, you can't touch Social Security to rob Peter to pay Paul. I don't care that Hurricane Katrina happened. I get it. It sucks. I feel bad for everyone down there. But you can't use Social Security money to rebuild their damn houses. Find the money. Maybe, just maybe, if you stop funding bullshit overseas and sending $15 million to Pakistan for a gay study when homosexuality is illegal there.
Right.
You know, they just use it to kill the people.
I'm gonna ask you a question.
Yeah.
All right, we're going all over the place.
Yep.
I'm concerned about what you're presenting here,
Yep.
okay? How we can help, what are you seeking? And, because you're presenting something
Correct.
that it is being talked around the United States, it ain't being just talked in our state. There are states that have did away with the sales tax, the property tax. So have you done any study on them states, and how's it working in them states if we're gonna get people on board for this?
Yeah, so we've looked into Texas. It was just they were the first one to do it. Right? Tennessee followed closely behind, and then Florida was shortly thereafter, and then Ohio's actually working towards it. I think it passed their House, they're waiting for it to pass their Senate. And the governor has all but hinted he will sign it. So if it passes the Senate, which Senate is a harder fight, they gotta gain like 2 Democrats to vote for it. Texas is, I mean, proof is in the pudding, everyone's leaving California and going to Texas. Businesses, I mean, they've actually almost been able to make up that tax revenue by just the amount of people that are working there and the jobs are brought in because they're buying more crap. You know, when someone's working and they have a fat stack in their pocket, they're gonna spend that money. The average American doesn't save, they spend. Like, you know, I'm guilty of it too. Listen, when PlayStation 5 came out, I dropped a half a paycheck on that. Like, you know.
So are did Texas follow these steps?
This plan's roughly based off of a combination of Texas and Tennessee's.
In Tennessee, okay.
So that we took, there was a couple of things that we didn't like in the Texas plan because they did increase some taxes towards business owners that we didn't really like, where Tennessee did not. And Tennessee, while didn't have as much success as Texas, they were only a couple percentage points off. And you can arguably, based off population, Texas is larger than Tennessee, so they're gonna have a higher, you know, income base because they're bigger. But per capita, I think they were like 1 or 2% growth off, but they were still much higher than Pennsylvania's, and their population skyrocketed.
Yep.
I mean, you used to be able to, I'm saying 10 years ago, you'd be able to buy 100 acres of land in Tennessee for 20 grand.
And no annual tax.
And you get no annual tax. Now, because of how many businesses have moved there and how much they brought in, you can't touch 100 acres there for under 200, 300 grand, and it's not even developed, no water, no nothing. And that's what we want. We don't want our kids leaving Pennsylvania. Well, no one's leaving Texas, no one's leaving Tennessee, no one's leaving Florida, but everyone's coming there.
Well, that brings up a question. So, we know that for years they've been talking about the 65 plus, right?
Yep.
We know that by 2030, there'll be more people of that age than kids.
Yes.
We know that that's the biggest space that revenue is going to come from because they're the homeowners.
Correct.
But they will be retired and more than likely on a fixed income. And the masses won't be living off the interest of an asset, they'll be living off that month-to-month paycheck.
Correct.
So we've been talking about this for years of how to eliminate the burden, but it's the largest base where the money comes from.
So if we went to the consumer tax, your largest base would be everybody.
It would be the buyers, it's like an excise.
Everyone buys something.
Pennsylvania is the largest 65 older community, if you didn't know it, in the nation right
Yes.
now.
No, did not know.
And then Florida and Texas are following it. And now Tennessee and Alabama are getting into that with northerners from New York, New England moving there.
In Pennsylvania, my in-laws, they've already made it clear, while South Carolina doesn't have 0%, they're a lot cheaper than us, and they have friends in Myrtle Beach.
So my
They want to
question
move down
is
there.
because
But we're still the
we have
largest.
political leaders that we like to have elected.
Oh, yeah.
How do they portray the message? Like, because the other side's going to put fear. It's going to be a fear monger. It's going to say, oh, if you take this plan, what's going to happen is that consumer price transfer, so that the additional tax on bubblegum is going to price you out of the market, and you're going to starve if you take this plan.
Yeah, that's what the
right.
common. So we've already posted some stuff, right? So we've gotten some heat from some of the border counties from the radical left side. Your Kennedy Democrats actually support it. It's the far left, right? And I don't think we can do anything to actually appease them. We just have to get the votes and force it down their throat. But their biggest concern is, like you said, so if you taxed, let's say 10.5%, so 10 cents. So if you buy a 15-cent item or a dollar item, you're paying $1.10 instead of $1.06. Well, if they go to, if they're Southwest PA and they go to West Virginia, they're only paying still $1.06. Well, that's great, but that really only accounts for a couple items where people are actually willing to travel for it. If you're able to get rid of the gas tax, then we can compete with West Virginia on that aspect, right? No one's going to drive to West Virginia for a stick of gum. And honestly, most people ain't going to buy the meat there either because it's just too far. No one's going to drive 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I will, but I'm a weird guy. I'm a bargain shopper, but I'm cheap. My wife can attest for it. I'm a cheap person.
Nothing wrong with that.
Christmas every year I have a stroke. But, because we have 3 kids. But the way you explain it to them is, honestly, that's why we did the card instead of just non-tax on essentials, is because that speaks to the far left. It's honestly, you could do it on non-essential items, just not tax, and you get the same benefit, right? And it actually, we've done the math, it actually equals to about the same amount of money. But when you put the card on there, because the problem with the left is, the radical left, is they associate everything with welfare. So they go food stamp card, cash assistance, all this. So when you put a card to it, they go, oh cool, it's welfare. You're cool with increasing welfare and helping poor people. In fairness, it's the same amount they'd be spending. It's just, it's just a mind, it's lack of better term, excuse me,
it's going to be how they position it.
Yeah,
so
it's just,
my fear is getting a person for office who has the courage to.
So we do have Harry Cochran, who's running for state senate, is on board with it. Al Buckton, who's running against Cameron Barlotta, is on board with it.
Good.
Charity Graham Kruger, who is a state rep in Southwest PA, is already on board with it. We're working on Ryan Warner. I have a meeting with Bud Cook, who should be on board with it. In principle, he is. He just needs to do more research. Bud's concern is he's weary if we don't word the audit on education right, that will constitute the Department of Education by accident. And he wants to get rid of the Department of Education altogether. So he's like, he goes, I'll help you figure out the language, but we got to make sure that language is on point where we don't accidentally constitute the Department of Education. The problem is, honestly, is Southeast PA. So I do have a meeting with Jared, probably next 2 weeks, Coleman. I'm pretty sure Jared will be on board. This is right up his alley type deal. Borowitz, I have a meeting with her after the election cycle. She just wants to wait till after the primary because she does have a challenger. But she'll probably be on board with it. Most of your conservatives are going to be on board with it pretty quick. It's getting your moderates. So, getting like a Pennychuck involved. Pennychuck is pretty conservative, but she also, she pulls everything before she comes out. And I can tell you she does. She's my mom's state rep. Everything's a poll, and that's where she leans. If there are people support it, she supports it. If not, she's not risking not getting reelected, and that's why she hasn't had a challenger in 6 cycles. So yeah, this is her 7th term now. It's like time flies, right? I remember when she was like a 24-year-old runner. She's the only state rep that has ever knocked my mom's door because she lives near the farms. But it's going to be getting, a Malcolm Kenyatta on board, right?
Yeah, good luck.
So,
how effective is to have a candidate for a state rep to knock on doors and talk to the constituents?
I'm a firm believer in door knocking. It goes a long way with the personal touch, even if you just hand a flyer on the door. So Kenyatta, good luck with Kenyatta, but I've actually gotten Kenyatta to budge on a few things. So Kenyatta's not as far left as people think he actually is. He votes that way because that's what his base votes, right? So, he's in an area of Philadelphia that is predominantly impoverished. It has a lot of drug and gang violence. And everyone blames the cops for that violence instead of like, hey, maybe if you said that, John Smith over here is the one that shot Bobby, and John Smith actually went to prison and didn't get to kill 5 more people. Or maybe if we actually used the death penalty in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and killed or John Smith for killing Bobby, we wouldn't have these problems. But Kenyatta, he's weird on the tax issue. So Kenyatta, he doesn't like property taxes because most of his constituents don't pay property taxes. Right? They rent.
Everybody pays.
They still pay it.
The landlord.
Yeah, the landlord charges it to them, but
The rent. The landlord doesn't.
but these are people that are paying $450 a month for a 3-bedroom row house because there's a crackhead right in front. He's got Kensington as his district. Like the problem is getting them on board. Like we can get conservatives, I think, on board all day. Constitution Party members, libertarians.
We got.
But Green Party and the Dems are going to be tough.
And are you working by yourself doing all this stuff, or do you have other people helping you?
I have other people helping me.
Okay.
So like Harry Cochran's campaign's involved. John Marietta, who's the Fayette County Recorder of Deeds, he'll be running for commissioner next year. Most likely, he's involved. A lot of Southwest PA. The MAGA conservatives of Pennsylvania PAC is involved as well.
We need to move on.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Our agenda, okay? We gotta be out of here no later than 8:45 tonight, okay? All right?
But if anyone wants to get involved, email me. It's contact@keystonesstop.org.
We will discuss this, okay?
Yeah.
With
Thank you so much.
Anytime.
Everybody.
Thank you very much.